Hello. I'm going to talk to you for a few minutes now about humor in literature. More specifically, I'm going to be talking about why we see so little humor in literature. As you might have noticed, a lot of the important literature that we've studied in this class has a particularly serious feel to it. We don't seem to give the same attention to work that makes us laugh that we give to work that makes us ponder or weep or fear or get angry. Humor, for some reason, just doesn't seem as important in literature. Having noticed this pattern, I've started to wonder about it, and I've come up with a couple of possible explanations for why we see so little humor in the literature we read. First, I think that we don't think about literature in terms of its humor because of how literature operates through time, especially how it reaches to us from the past. We can probably agree that humor changes over time. What seems funny at one point might seem offensive or nonsensical at another point. As an example, we might consider Father Knows Best, a popular television show from the 1950s before the birth of someone even as old as I am. This series, a comedy, doesn't make today's viewers laugh much. It doesn't seem particularly funny because we don't recognize the jokes. Times have changed to the extent that we just don't pick up cues for humor that would make sense to an audience from the 1950s. What seems obviously humorous to an audience from that time just seems either normal or offensive or completely without context to us, so we don't recognize it as humor. If we apply this to works written hundreds or thousands of years ago, we can see the possibility of missing that element of humor. Similarly, we get our literature from various cultures. Even within the limited pool of writers I've offered for examination in this class, mostly men, mostly white, mostly relatively well-to-do economically, we can see some variety among their cultures. For instance, Christina Rossetti, a fairly rich woman from Victorian England, and Edgar Allan Poe, a poor man from the United States, don't resemble each other very much in terms of culture, even though they did their work at about the same time in history. They represent different cultures, meaning that a joke for Rossetti might not register for Poe as humorous. Writers can see this. It seems pretty obvious. So, a writer who wants his or her work to appeal to various cultures, a writer with an eye towards important literature, might avoid making jokes they don't think their audience will get. A writer might not want to put jokes in a work of literature that might not communicate with the audience that work of literature really wants to reach. This, along with the blind spots we have as readers and critics, can help lead to a lack of humor in the literature we read. So, I hope this lecture has helped you wonder about the place of humor in literature. This glaring absence of such an important part of human experience might help inspire you to particularly cherish any moment in literature that makes you laugh. We very easily get the impression of literature as something that we have to tolerate, that we have to work at, that makes us better as people because it's important and serious. But I want to encourage you to look for opportunities to laugh in the literature you read. In that way you can continue to increase your enjoyment of literature, which is, after all, the goal of many of us when we read. we find our fun wherever we can, as we keep enjoying the important works of literature that we better ourselves with. As always, thank you for your time and attention.